had been 2 months ago when I began to notice the changes. It wasn't anything particularly nerve-wracking, as it had started with other people. Complete strangers I had never even spoken a word to, but saw regularly on my daily commute to work. People who I swear looked a very specific way every time I saw them before, but now looked different. It wasn't major changes, only small things that you wouldn't notice until the back of your brain suddenly realized the change. And by then, the people had already rounded a corner, out of sight where you couldn't check again. I convinced myself it had to have been my imagination. Or maybe the person had gotten surgery. I mean, I didn't know the financial situation of random people on the street, so I guessed it was possible someone could have gotten a mole removed from their cheek. Or maybe I only thought they had a scar on the left side of their forehead. It's not like I saw them every day, so they could have had time to get beautification done, with no one being the wiser. I put it in the back of my mind every time I noticed it, coming to the conclusion that I shouldn't be getting involved in other people's business. I had my own to deal with at work. I had my own life I needed to worry about. That was until I began noticing the same sort of changes in my coworkers. Delilah was first, and by far the most obvious. A very lovely and kind-hearted woman in her mid-50s, sporting crow's feet as well as an obvious eye made of glass. The original lost to cancer. She loved her glass eye and made sure to get it in a different color than her working one. So whenever she came by to have a chat with me during our break, or just brought me some coffee in my favorite mug, I'd always see that bright red eye from all the way down the hall. But now, it's gone, and in its place is a vibrant blue eye, matching the other one. It wasn't as if she had gotten another glass eye or anything of that sort. That thing was looking around, blinking, and the scars of her surgery to remove it in the first place weren't even there. Her crow's feet were also barely noticeable. It was like the clock rolled back 10 years for her. Fred's golden tooth was gone the next day, replaced with a perfectly normal one. When I asked him about it, he just looked at me with confusion and said he didn't know what I was talking about. Needless to say, I was very freaked out when I went home that night. I knew if I told Jack, my boyfriend, he wouldn't believe me. He'd just think, damn, Gary's losing his mind. First the people on the street looking different, and now his coworkers. Better dump him. So I didn't mention it, and just told him I got in an argument with a random guy on the way back home when he asked. I know what I saw, and last time I checked, I wasn't a damn schizo, so obviously something bad is going on. But that wasn't the worst of it. No, not by a long shot. Have you ever seen your reflection from far away? It doesn't matter where. It could be a weird angle. It could be at any time. But if you're not expecting it, you freeze, and your mind goes into the mental overdrive as it's trying to figure out why a person who looks just like you is now just staring you down. I'd been getting out of the corner shop near my workplace when I first saw me, just walking down the road in some skinny jeans and a hoodie, with a large frowny face on the middle. They looked bored, their hair short with the sides nearly completely bald. They even had the small scar on the tip of their nose that I had gotten when I was a kid. They didn't notice me, or if they did they completely ignored me as they walked past a corner. I was completely stunned, but then that little inner voice in the back of my mind screamed, "No, this can't be happening. That's not me. Man up, Gary, and follow them. Make sure that's not you." I did as my brain said after working up the courage. It's like I'm just gonna let that slide on by without me doing anything about it. So I followed, and I rounded the corner hoping to God they weren't there, or they looked different enough that I could sigh in relief. But they were still there. In fact, they were on the phone with someone. Their voice was mine. The way they talked was how I talked. Everything was just exactly me. It was like I had been playing a first-person game all of my life, and suddenly turned into third person. It was hard to tell who they were talking to, but with each sentence the other me spoke, I was able to slowly piece it together. They were talking to Mickey, one of my exes. It had to be. The other me was asking about how the gym business was going, and Mickey owned a gym. But the problem was, I broke up with Mickey 5 years ago, and he sold his gym the same year we broke up. So what the hell is this identical version of me doing, ringing my ex and asking about their defunct business? I mean, sure, Mickey and I broke up on not the best of terms, but I don't dislike the guy enough that I'd rub his past business failures in his face or anything. I followed them for what felt like hours. It probably was just half an hour though. The sun was just setting when they finally reached their destination. I was just glad they didn't arrive at my apartment building or anything, but it was a place I remembered. It was the place I was staying at before I met Jack, when I was going out with Mickey, and when I was still going to college. I decided to move in with Jack because I didn't feel safe there. I swear that place was haunted, or someone was stalking me. It always felt like I was being watched by something. I stopped following when they went inside. I mean, what else was I gonna do? Barge in? Ask him why we look alike? That wouldn't end well. So I went home, pretended like nothing happened, and thought that was it. But I kept seeing me out in the street, and each time I saw me, I just couldn't help but follow them from a distance. Always until they returned home. Sometimes I told Jack I was going out for a walk at night, but really, I just felt like I needed to keep an eye on that other me. I'd go to their apartment and watch them through the window. I didn't trust them. They could be planning to come after me. I mean, why else were random people on the street suddenly looking different? Why did Delilah suddenly have her eye back? People are getting replaced by themselves, or something pretending to be them, and I'm not going to let some doppelganger take over my life. So that's where I am now. I don't really know what to do. I don't know who I should tell, or even if I can tell anyone about this. They would think I'm crazy, even though I'm not. I've been watching myself for the past 2 months now, but I don't know what else I should do. I need to prepare in the chance they decide it's time to murder me and take my place without Jack being any the wiser. I was thinking I should go on the offensive, make sure they can't hurt me by doing them in first, but I don't know if I can actually go through with that. Please, tell me what I should do. I don't even care if you believe me or not. I just need to know what I need to do, so I don't end up dead with no one caring, because there's a fake me taking over my life. At this point, I'm starting to really wish I'm just losing my grip with reality.